They're gonna get introduced, so we're just waiting for an introduction, Joanne. Good morning, everyone. Receive warm greetings. We're gonna start this day with our spiritual parents and asking them for their to accompany with us to our territory, to our winds and water, to our land to be with us. That all our purposes from the seeds that we're planting may they be see the harvest in the future in the territories, in our sacred territories. And today we begin a new module, which is very important for this process, with Carolina and Joanne. They're teachers in these topics. In this case of Carolina, she is a college teacher. She's a narrator from Argentina. She has a master in creation, literary creation from Spain, and she teaches letters in Argentina. She's done postgraduate degrees in university text edition. And for over 20 years, she's been working for the university, giving classes of Spanish. And she's been making classes for writing preparation in organizations with Women in the South, International Women from the Indigenous Forum. She's published books in stories and essays. The ones I highlight is the one called Las Otras, which is the first reward, first prize in the Argentina National Library. And she says that she enjoys telling stories and participating with enthusiasm in the fight for the rights of women and diversities as part of the collective of feminism in her country. Let's have a little bit of her bio and on what Carolina has done. Now let me tell you a bit about Joanne. She has a BA in Spanish, Portuguese, and Latin American literature from the King's College London. In 1985, she emigrated from UK to Argentina. She has over 20 years of experience training lawyers in plain English writing skills. She teaches classes on grammar, punctuation, and writing style that helps professionals to communicate more effectively. And she has extensive expertise and has taught both native and non-native speakers in English. She has also done voluntary work and serves on the board of Plain. She's been a president twice and organized an international plain language conference in Buenos Aires in 2024. And she writes regular columns on clear communications in a diary called The Bad Times. She's very committed to empowering the value of plain language for citizens around the world as a tool for delivering effective documents and case study. So this is the opportunity that we have today of having two teachers. Carolina will be working with our sisters from Latin America in Spanish. And Joanna will be working with our sisters from Asia and Africa, giving her class in English. So this is a very special module that we're waiting for, that you will take advantage of. Seeing any requirement that might be needed. And also to let you know that with enthusiasm, to an excellent technological service, Joanna is already sharing for you a link for Zoom so that the people from Asia and Africa who speak English can join them. And then you can take the class. So please and Lorena might be suggesting sharing a few words before we begin to our different settings. Good morning. I'm having a little difficulties with my electricity at home. So I have instability in my connection, but I want to thank everyone and give welcome to Joanna and Carolina. We're going to start with our invocation today. I know we still haven't done it. So we're going to start with an invocation. I'll ask, a week ago I told them to have, on Friday, I'm sorry, I told you to have an element from our culture, from our, I have here in my hand is Ecuador, that I received in the prior court. And those who could have it here, something from your culture, remember? It was very valuable to have it here because we're going to do our invocation using that element. I'm going to ask that if you can, for a minute, just take your time to find your elements. And once you have them, I'll thank you. And we're going to start. If something happens in my screen, um, if not, I'll open it right now. Something. Let me show you my element. Every one of you should have your element. Do you have your element with you? Let's gonna open our screens, please, and let's show me your elements. An element from your culture, please. This is my element to bring the energy of our grandparents, to the energy of all the people who have been behind us, who have left us, to the energy of our ancestors, because they have sent us, they have accompanied us with their meetings, with their dances, with their music, with movement, with language from original people, with our food, with our love for Mother Earth, with teaching us the value of the sacred of life. All of that wisdom, agriculture that is taught on feeding the same earth, has been taught on thinking of the species and feeding the humanity. A system of health that is not based on charging, but on taking care of life. We're going to thank those. We're going to thank them because they gave us cosmovision and collective visions and visions for every town from Africa, from Asia. Thank you because you gave us a gastronomy and gave us a way to knit our clothing. You gave us way to talk and communicate with our own languages. You gave us ways of making justice, ways of organizing. You gave us the value of life. Thank you for our grandparents who are in the skies, who are in heaven, who are here, who are in the exit of the sun and the energy. Thank you for the generations of girls and boys who live, are in the heart of that energy of the youth, that is the heart of the wind, of the great mountains that are in our territories, that are not on fire because of deprivation, because of evil and destruction. We bow our heads for those lands that are being devastated. We also talk about the elder. We salute the elders who are on the outside of the sun. Those who are coming in the dusk of the sun. We embrace our culture and we thank because we can dress with them, because we can still use them, because they are part of our life and our dignity. We're gonna bend them. If you can bend them, whatever your element is, we're gonna thank. We're gonna kiss it once, twice, three times, four times. And we thank the roots that we come from. We took the roots from where we are coming from. We thank our origins. We thank our past that is coming ahead of us. We thank our present that is what it is today. And we embrace ourselves for that present that we're living, giving thanks once, twice, three, four times. And we thank what is coming for the new generations that are coming, for trees, animals, seeds, roots, people, water, wind, stars. We thank the new roots, the new generations of girls and boys, of youth, and we thank for the wisdom that we're coming from. And we ask for that wisdom to keep growing, our sciences, our knowledges as a collective and strengthen us through life. And we open to new space of what we're living today. We're starting today, and we're coming through. We're asking for wide roads for us to be able this morning, in the afternoons or in the nights, wherever you are, and that everything that's good flow. And when there's an imbalance, we can find it. We can find ourselves, and maybe that way. Thank you all. Thank you very much. So we can go in our breakout rooms. Joanna, we go with the people from Asia and Africa, please. There is a link, a Zoom link in the chat box, so that please jump out before you go though. Nadia wants to say something. We just want to make clear that the dynamic today with these three sessions, that you're going to be in charge of Carolina. If you can leave in the chat box, please. Luna already told us there's going to be a particularity that you're going to be divided, but we're going to do a different link for the room for Johanna. In Latin America, you stay here in this room, don't leave. In the chat, please, you can find Johanna's link. It's already in this link. Then Johanna just shared it again, please. You're going to leave this room and you're going to join that chat box. You're going to click that link and it'll take you to the room with Johanna. Johanna? So Johanna is about to leave, and once she starts, you can join her room. If somebody comes in late, just give me a second. Just make sure, copy paste this just in case anyone else comes into the chat box hasn't been it. So please, Asia and Africa, copy that link, and you're gonna go to that link in a minute.
Okay, so I will record the whole event, and then I'm assuming that they will edit it, because when we go into the breakout rooms, it doesn't really record properly, and so that's not a really big problem. So I'm not seeing a full house yet, but it's nice to see some of you. I can see and you're going to have to help me out on this because I'm not going to be able to say your names correctly. So please correct me. So I can see Fifian. Is that right? Fifian? Sort of. I can see, that's a really difficult one. Nylija. No, you're going to have to help me. But tell me, how can I say your name better?
Hello, good morning. You can just say Nai.
Nai. That's great.
Yeah.
That makes my life a lot easier. Thank you. Nai. Super. And Nukila, I can see. Hi. And
hi, Joanna.
Hello. Doman Florence. And Angela, are you joining us? Are you the tutor by any chance? Great. Okay. Nice to have you with us. And then we have Nadia and Daisy and Fatima. Angela, just in case, because I live in Buenos Aires and we have electricity problems too. So just in case, I'm going to make you co-host. And if I have some problem with my Wi-Fi or with my internet and I cut out, please everyone stay put. Don't go anywhere. I will be right back. I will connect on my mobile hotspot. I always have everything set up to do that. So please know that I will do that. So I'm going to make Angela co-host, which just as a precaution. And that's always a good thing to do on these occasions. And I can see that a few more are having problems coming in and out, but I guess that they will try and join us. And in order to respect everyone's time, because I mean you're joining from all the way around the world, I think that we should start. And we have a lot to cover on these 3 days. And we're going to be seeing a lot of topics. So I want to respect the time that we have. And anyone who joins late, they can always see the recording afterwards. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen with you. So you should all be able to see my screen. And we're going to be, as you know, on this part of the module, we're going to be looking at writing techniques. So first of all, Dunen very kindly introduced me, but I'm going to tell you a little bit more about myself, just so that we get to know each other. And you can see here that I'm from Oxford, actually. I'm from Britain originally. Oxford, it's quite a world famous university. I would imagine that you've heard of it. And but I didn't study there. I went to study in London, and pretty soon after my graduation, I came to live in Argentina, which is an amazing country. It has the most wonderful geography, and here I am visiting the glaciers, which are in the south of the country. And I spent 20 years of my career working with lawyers. Some of you may have come across lawyers. They can be tricky customers. And I worked for 20 years with lawyers, teaching lawyers to write and to express themselves in something called plain English. Now, some of you may have heard something about plain English, some of you may not, but we're going to be looking at that, but in the second half today. First of all, we're going to be looking at a different topic. And one of my hobbies is to make chutney. I like to make chutney as and then give it to my friends and family. It's like a kind of sweet and sour. I mean, I think originally it's from India, because of course a lot of British cooking, all the best British cooking came from India, really. And you can serve it with cheese. You can serve it with something cold. It's like something that it's sweet and sour, and it goes with everything. So it's a nice dish. So I can always share that recipe with you, maybe at the end. So a little bit of housekeeping before we begin. I think these things it's important to establish. And I know that you're all very used to working online, so that's really not a problem. So you're already keeping your microphones on mute, and I can see that several of you are keeping your cameras off. I mean, it is nicer to have the camera on because there's more interaction, especially on this kind of course. But I understand that if you have limited bandwidth, the audio is the priority. And so I understand totally if you're not able to turn your camera on. And if you have questions, please raise your hand or write in the chat. Please don't think, oh, I'll ask that later, or someone else will ask that, because then you might forget your question. And probably the most likely thing is that I will address your question a little bit later on anyway. But if you put it in the chat, I can't always see it. So I would ask the tutor, Angela, if she can tell me, Joanna, there's a question, or somebody didn't understand that, or something like that. Angela, are you up for that? And if you could act as a little bit as my moderator, that would be very helpful. And in fact, Angela, I'm going to ask you if you see that somebody's coming into the room to let them in. That would be very helpful as well for me, because sometimes if I'm chatting or looking at the PowerPoint, I'm not seeing them at the same time. So questions, and then, you know, as I said before, if I get cut off, please just stay online, stay put. I'll be back as quickly as I can get my mobile hotspot set up. So the other thing is that although I am British, obviously, I've created this course, and in fact, really all the courses that I'm required to give, I always write in American English, in US English, because US spelling is kind of more widely recognized. I'm not going to, I mean, on your case studies, when I've made when I made corrections, I'm not going to actually correct whether it's British or American spelling. I'm assuming that's a personal choice, but I'd just like to let you know about that. And generally, everyone I work with say that I talk quite slowly. And so if you don't understand me, or if I'm going too fast, or you need me to repeat something, please don't be shy. This is a learning space. We're all going to learn from each other. I'm sure I'm going to learn as much as you are. And it needs to be a space where we all feel comfortable learning. And remember, if you flag a question or ask something, there's probably somebody else in the audience who's also thought of that, but thought like, oh, I don't want to ask. I feel a little bit uncomfortable. And they're going to, inside, they're going to be grateful to you if you ask that question. So please ask any question. If I'm going too fast, tell me to slow down. Okay, so far so good? Right. And about timing, we're going to take like a sort of 10, you know, these sessions are 3 hours long, which is a long stint online. And we're going to take like a 10 to 15 minute break about halfway through. And it will, I'm going to choose this a little more organically as we have the luxury of working all together. I mean, probably today we're going to divide it into part 1 and part 2. And the natural break is going to be between those 2 parts, which I calculate will be in about an hour's time. And breakout rooms. How many of you, can I get does everyone know how to use the icons on Zoom? How many people have used a breakout room? Yeah, I can see 1, 2. I can't see all of you at once. No, some of you are saying no, you are. No, some of you have never used a breakout room? Okay, but most of you have, about half of you have. Well, that's great. When I put you into a breakout room, it's like you are there. I'm going to put you in there in groups and to do some sort of activity, or it can, I mean, I'll put you probably in groups of 3 or 4. And because we're going to be doing a lot of exercises, a lot of practical work on this course. That's the best way to learn writing techniques, is to actually put what I'm teaching you into practice. And when I put you into a breakout room, you need to be a little bit careful not to press leave. And I'll bring you back again, but if you've kind of finished the activity beforehand, you want to press leave room. Don't press leave meeting. You just press leave room, because if you leave meeting, then you leave the whole Zoom thing. Whereas you just want to leave the room and then you come back to the meeting. It's quite cool, actually. I think those of you who have done it will probably know it's quite a fun way, because it's kind of like you actually feel that you're almost in a class, and so you can feel that. So I will visit you sometimes in the rooms and check if you need something, or and to see how you're getting on, if you need a little bit more time. And remember, I can message you in the room. Unfortunately, you can't message me, which is a bit more of a nuisance. On some systems, you can. So what are we going to be doing today in our first session? Today, we're going to be looking, first of all, at the case study, what a case study means. And I want to hear from you about any problems that you have already encountered with your case studies. And so there's going to be a little bit of a discussion about that, and I'm looking forward to hearing your opinions about that. And then in the second half of today, we're going to be looking at plain language, about how we can apply plain language techniques to our writing, and what this means for our writing. And we're also going to be looking at some throughout. I haven't really got many examples of your work, because obviously I haven't yet had an opportunity to see it yet. Just some of the examples that you've submitted on the Excel when you've submitted your the case studies that you're doing. And so I've used 2 case studies from 2022 as examples, and I'm assuming that some of the issues that arise there will be similar to issues that might occur in your writing. Some may not, but even so, there are things to watch out for and things to learn from. And so this is what we're going to be doing so far today. So the first topic that we're going to address, and you are probably more familiar with this than me, is what is a case study? Why is a case study the methodology of choice for the work that you have all taken on? As you know, a case study, in your case, it can be how it can be a real life or hypothetical event. In your cases, they're all real life event, and they are analyzing solutions and developing solutions, problems, or recommendations for a future action, or simply stating the problem, which is the two the ones from 2022 that I was able to analyze for the purposes of this course, that more state the problem. And I'm assuming, a little bit from what I've seen from the documents that you've submitted so far, that that's kind of more what you're going to be doing. And it's definitely formatted in a kind of report. It's divided into sections with headings and subheadings, to ensure that you can understand the different key points, and also, more importantly, I feel, the hierarchy, what it is that is the most important points. So all this information and all these PowerPoints and the recording, as I say, will be up on the campus probably by the end of today. So you will be able to reread and access all this information at your leisure. One thing I am going to tell you is that we are not going to be able to use this same Zoom link for the other two sessions that we have. So I will probably, as I have your emails, I might try and send them before the end of today. I might try and set them up in the break. But if I can't, then I will just send them to your email addresses, and then you'll have them ready for the second session this Friday and for the last session this time next week. Okay, so what does a case study do? It asks you to explore this specific event or issue and to identify the facts, what is it that happened, and who or what is or was involved. Sometimes we can use it to compare two instances of an event, but I don't really see that that's going to be very applicable for the scenarios that you've presented so far, but I could be wrong as well. And it can include solutions or recommendations, but it's more to help the reader, or as we sometimes call them, the stakeholder, which is like the person who is interested, the person who has an investment in this topic, to gain a greater insight, to gain a greater understanding into the different dimensions of the event. And maybe in the future, it will help them make an informed decision about this this event. So far so good. Is everyone with me?
Yes,
Yes.
we are.
Good, super. Unless you stop me, I'm going to keep on, and I'm going to assume that everything is good. Thank you. So what parts of a case study do we need to have ready? The first thing, yes, is that you raising your hand? No? Okay. Is a list of abbreviations and or acronyms, or in some of the cases that I saw, a glossary, because of course you're using different languages. The ones that I'm probably going to say this wrong as well, but Maasai and the Mombororo are two of the case studies that were the ones that I've already analyzed. And those ones definitely required a glossary of specific language. So this is something important to put initially in your glossary, in your contents. Then the executive summary, and this I've seen some nice examples of this. This is when we have like a summary, as it's self-explanatory, of the main part. So this really gives the kind of key points that fly off the page, and this will introduce the topic area of the report. It's going to outline the purpose of the case study. It's going to outline the key issues that you find and your findings, but without specific details. And this is often the bit that can be most challenging, because of course you spent a very long time on your report, and you are what we call a subject matter expert by this time, and you know a lot about your case study. So of course you think all the information is important, but it's key. And this is one of the aspects that, I mean, I'm sure that you're going to be working on already in other parts of the course, but like to identify, I think a useful image here is if we think of an iceberg. If we think of the iceberg, as you will know, you can only see 10% of the iceberg above the water. The other 90% is there under the water. And our executive summary is only going to show that 10% of the information that we need to tell our readers, our stakeholders about. It's just going to give them like a little bit of a taster, a little bit of a teaser. And often this, you know, if you're submitting your case study, maybe to a conference, maybe to somewhere else, to somewhere maybe outside this circle, you will find that people will only read the executive summary. So it's very important to write that well. It really has to be absolutely perfect. It's also going to identify the theory that you use, which of course you've already stated in your all your Excels. I've seen all that, the rationale. And it's going to summarize any recommendations that you may have. The introduction of your case study is going to summarize your task. It's going to briefly outline the case to identify its significance, why you think it's important. It's going to state the report's aims, and it's going to give the main ideas in the report. And then it's going to briefly describe the key problem and its significance. At this stage, you don't really need to provide details of findings or recommendations. That's definitely going to come later on, beyond the introduction. Then you might have your findings. You're going to identify here the key problems you've identified by presenting those central issues that are under analysis, providing your reasoning, which would be your, might be your methodology for your choices, such as supporting your findings, the facts given in the case, any theory and course concepts. Obviously here, again, you need to refer to these briefly. You don't want to go into too much detail, because if you go into too much detail, at that point, you're just going to, you know, you have to assume that the person who's reading this will understand the concepts and the theories. And you might highlight any underlying problems. You also are going to identify and justify your methodology and your analytical tools, and so whether that if that's relevant. And sometimes this section, because it's going to be a little bit longer, you're going to probably have to have it in subsections, sort of like I've delivered here. You'll see I've got 3 bullets, but like the first bullet has got sub bullets. And so this is what we call, and this is an important way of showing the hierarchy of the meaning and really making our information easy to find on the screen or on the page. This is a little bit like, we're going to look at this when we look at plain language. It's like the reader has to be able to not be digging for the information, but like it has to kind of jump off the page at them. They have to think, oh, here it is. Okay. And it has to be almost like a pleasurable experience for them. Then you're probably going to have your discussion. So here you're going to summarize your major problems. If you can, obviously this is not always appropriate. You might identify alternative solutions that you might suggest. You're going to maybe outline each alternative solution. Maybe some might have advantages, some might have disadvantages. You may again need to refer to the theory that you have used or the methodology that you have used. And obviously, if it's based on a specific situation, you might not be able to relate your findings to other situations. but try to see what can be learned from your specific case study for your case, for your stakeholders and your readers. And then your conclusion. Here, you're going to restate the purpose of the report. Again, in a very brief manner, just kind of referring back to the points that you've made earlier. And you're going to sum up the main points from the findings, the discussion, and the recommendations. And you might, you know, if there were any limitations that you need to outline, you know, if something like, you know, I was only able to do this within this time frame, or you know, it needs further research or something like that, then that be also a moment to restate that. And then you would have your recommendations. So at this point, I mean, not all of you, I mean, some of you may just be presenting a problem without any recommendation, but if you can, it would be a good, even if the recommendation is just further research, then it would be good to have some of these points. So you might choose which of the alternative solutions should be adopted. You briefly justify your choice, explaining how it's going to solve the major problems. And here, remember to bring in the theory and the practice as discussed before. You might go as far as suggesting an action plan, who should take the action, when the steps are needed, how to assess the action taken. It may be appropriate to include a rough estimate, well, costs. As far as I could see, in the case studies that I have analyzed, it didn't seem to be relevant, but it might be to do with time, maybe not, if not financial. And sometimes you might want to divide this up into recommendations and implementation. But again, that would depend a lot on your case study. And this is something we're also going to work on. Recommendations need to be in a persuasive audio. All the writing, I would encourage you to write it focusing on your audience, and communicates your suggestions clearly, concisely, and precisely, which is exactly what we're going to look at in the second part of today. References. You're going to put those in alphabetical order. Any references that you have cited, whether they're other colleagues' works or whether they're your bibliography. I've already seen that you've got some of your bibliography, and they need to be obviously formatted and carefully placed. And we're going to again look at this in the last part of the course. We're going to look at how to quote and how to make references in the very last part of the course. Appendices. I don't really imagine that you're going to have a lot of appendices, but there may be some sort of extra material that you want to add on, but that's separate from your case study. So now what I wanted to ask you, and here I think it might be appropriate, I'm going to stop sharing a second. So how many people have we got with us today? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I think we can make 2 groups of 3, and it's going to be arbitrary. I'm going to let the algorithm decide who goes in which group. And I'm going to pop you into 2 groups, and I want you to talk among yourselves for maybe 5 minutes, and then to discuss what problems and challenges you see as in your case studies. And you might ask one of the team, one of the group, to be making notes, maybe working as an assistant. And then we're going to report back. I'll bring you back to the main group and report back. So this task will be to decide. Okay, Nukila.
Yes. Joanna, I would like to ask you how important the references in this report, in this research, because I believe I always on the field, yeah. Sometimes I didn't notice about the reference, the important of reference, um, like update should be updated references with the years, the recent years, and then
It's a
because
big
something is yeah.
No,
Mm.
it's a big challenge to keep things updated. There is a special way of doing it so that you can tell that the link is still live. And so I'm going to add that to the final part of the course. That's an excellent point. And Nukila, I'm very glad that you raised that. Absolutely. Good. Anyone else have a question? But this could be, for example, one of the challenges that you see. Anyone else have a question before I pop you? Yes, of course. Me, no problem. Obviously, if you have an unstable connection, audio is always the priority when we're online. And we understand totally that you can't put your camera on. It's a shame, but we understand that. Is there anything else you need to say? I can see your hand is raised. Nope, I don't think so. Okay, right. So let me just prepare the breakout rooms. As I say, I think I'm going to put you in 2 initially. I'm not going to include co-hosts. Angela, you don't need to go in, okay? And so I'm going to create, maybe 2 is too, I think 3 is going to be better. No, because that's not a, yeah. And great. I've got 3 people in each room. Okay. So remember, what we're talking about is the challenges and the problems that you have identified so far in your case study. Obviously, I am not the specialist in the topic matter of your case studies. I'm more interested in hearing about, the writing challenges, the sort of topic that Nukila brought up, if there are any like that, but more general problems as well. Okay. And I'm going to give you 5 minutes in the breakout. Angela, do you want to say something before they go? No, you're good. Okay. Off you go then. I'll give you just over 5 until the top of the hour. I'll give you until the top of the hour. Fifian, I can see that you are raising your hand. Do you want to say something before you go? Yes.
Yes. So my question is, we are doing the challenges in regards to the writing the case study.
Other challenges may arise and, and it's great even if I can't help you with those, it will be, I'm sure Angela will be interested and maybe she can transmit them to the appropriate people on the other parts of the course. But my focus, of course, is more about the writing, about the structure of your case study. That's my focus. Great.
Okay.
Off you go then. Is everything okay here?
Yeah.
You all need to unmute, even if you can't turn on your cameras. Dom and Nai, you need to unmute
Oh, sorry.
to
Yeah,
be able
sorry.
to share your experiences. Sometimes it can be useful for someone to take notes for this. I've just realized that what I should have done is facilitated sharing screen. I will do that next time. Yes, there you go. You need to, so you're going to be talking about any problems and challenges that you have. Okay? Off you go then.
Hi. Hello. Vivian. Yes. And Nina. I can take notes if you won't mind. Hi. Hi, Nina.
Hello.
Yeah. I can take notes. Would like to start.
But I missed 2 classes, so I don't know.
Okay.
I didn't ask what we are talking about.
Challenges that we might encounter in our case study.
But I don't know what is the case yesterday. Actually, I missed 2 classes. Yeah.
Yes, that we
Ah.
encounter
I
in our
told
case
them to
studies.
catch up with me.
Yeah. So no one has done a case study before?
Sorry?
No one has done? I haven't done a case study before, so I also don't know.
Okay.
The thing is, I'm wondering whether they were
Yeah.
asking whether we present challenges from our previous work or in reference to this.
I
Now
think
I
in
don't know.
reference to this one. I think
So
in reference
maybe
to yeah.
So probably they know that already we have started our writing, our proposals. So maybe we can just present our challenges when doing the proposal.
Yeah. So what challenges
And
are
for me,
we?
maybe, so for me, what I will say is the challenge that I have is knowing what can I say, the maximum length of a topic. Let's say if it is discussion, do I have a limit in terms of length? Or even the entire document, do we have minimum pages? Do we have limits in terms of maximum pages? Yeah. The length of the case study.
Yeah. So maximum or minimum length, yeah. Per section also.
Yeah. Maybe someone else can.
How about Naina?
So, yeah, I'm totally confused today.
I think the challenge is we haven't done the case study.
So teacher provides the topic for a case study, or we need to choose ourselves?
We have our own case studies. Like for my case, I selected
proposal.
Yes, like each one of us has a case study. You remember when we were applying the course? For me, I selected the right to clean, healthy, and sustainable natural environment. So maybe we can just brainstorm on maybe the challenges that may arise or the challenge that we might have when doing the case study, maybe proposal writing or something. Maybe we can say the challenge is putting it down, writing the proposal, right?
Today I'm really sorry. I have no idea.
Yeah, it's okay.
No problem. We will just
Yeah. Oh,
So who will speak?
yeah. My problem is actually there's not much written about the topic I'm trying to explore. About Indigenous people's participation in political and public life. So there's not much reference.
Yeah, lack of literature.
Lack of
Related
literature.
literature.
Yeah. Also, that it would be my first time to.
It's too short.
Was that too short?
Yeah, we were on in the middle of discussion.
Okay, well, I'm glad you've got lots to talk about.
Right.
Okay. So now you're beginning to understand about the tip of the iceberg. The tip of the iceberg. Yeah, good. Okay, good. Well, great. I'm glad it was a lively discussion. That's great to hear. So let's start with group one, had Daisy, Fatima, and me. So who was the person taking notes there? Who was there anyone taking notes? I have now facilitated screen sharing. So next time I apologize for not doing that earlier. Next time I put you into a breakout room, one of you, like for example, when you're doing the exercises, one of you can share the screen and do the work, and while the other is giving input. So now you can all anyone can share screen. Okay, so who are we going to hear from? Are we going to hear from Daisy, from Fatima, or okay, Doman? Yes.
Yeah. I've listed. Sorry, we didn't input it on.
Okay,
Yeah.
but Doman, you're in group 2. Just 1 second, please. So we're going to first of all hear from group 1. Okay, so if group 1, that's Daisy, Fatima, and me, if they can unmute and maybe share some of their challenges.
All right.
Daisy,
all right.
go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. For group 1, the challenges that we discussed, I was glad we had our sister from a different region other than Africa, and we share almost similar problems. One of it that was similar to all of us is that the communities can be shy to share with us. We found out that they are shy to tell us the problems that they undergo, whereby the women and girls cannot share. And to an extent, like my community, the women can get to an extent that they will be beaten by the husbands or the village men because they've told us certain problems. And next was sometimes people cannot
We've lost Daisy. It's somebody else from Daisy's group, Fatima or me. Would you like to tell us what else that group said? Otherwise, we'll move on to the next group. We can always come back to Daisy later. Okay, Daisy. Daisy, try speaking. Try speaking. That's it. Without your camera, because you've obviously got very a poor bandwidth.
I'm really sorry.
No, don't worry. Please don't apologize. It's not something. It's not your fault.
It's really raining in Nairobi, and I
Okay,
think
don't worry.
Mon
Yeah,
can help me
it,
until the rain ceases.
that
Kindly.
the same thing always happens in Buenos Aires too. Whenever it rains, the internet gets very patchy. Daisy, so the women are reluctant. I think there is also because shy, for example, all of us are a little bit shy because we don't know each other. But this is a stronger emotion than shy. Reluctant is that they don't want to come forward because they feel exposed and they feel uncomfortable to speak. And you were going to say one more point. Okay. Okay. Well, let's not worry. We can come back to group 1 later. Okay. So group 2, we had Dom Ann and Naina and Fee. Is that right? So Naina, are you ready to share?
Sorry, I missed 2 classes, so it's difficult to catch me. So today
Don't worry. You're here, which is what matters.
So let me try to share screen.
Oh, great.
Yeah, it's not much. Yes. Yeah. So these are the challenges that we listed. We're all first timers to do case study, so we really don't know how to do it yet.
Yeah.
And would be very happy to learn. There's also a question about the maximum or minimum length of pages. Like per section, how much words maybe, and then the actual writing of the proposal. So also there's lack of literature on our research topics. Like for me, it's political participation of Indigenous women in political and public life. So there's not much that I've seen local literature. And also how to create safe space for conversations around a very patriarchal culture or environment.
Which I think is the point that Daisy brought up. It was wonderful that Daisy said that in the breakout rooms, it gives you the opportunity to talk to people who aren't from your own culture. And it's always a wonderful experience to share a similar situation with somebody who's not from your own culture, because then we feel less alone, which is kind of one of the aims of this course, is that you are, although you may be, even when you're a first timer doing this, that you are accompanied, that there is an organization that is accompanying with you, and as the icon shows, it's holding hands with you and helping you to do this, which is why we're with you. So some great questions there. Dom, would you be able to pop that into the chat, or maybe as a screenshot, or as a or maybe as a Word doc? I don't know, whichever is easiest for you. But I think you've got some great material here, and I think we find that everyone has the same idea. So one of the questions that I have for you,
I'll copy and paste.
Fantastic. From seeing those challenges, have you seen any case studies, any other examples of case studies? Have you seen any? Have you read any other people, any other of the IWWF's case studies? Or is this like you're just it will be a first time?
I think so.
Maybe it would be, I think what we should do is that I should show you the 2 case studies that I have. I have examples from them, but maybe I should show you the whole things to show you them, to show that it's possible, as I think that will make you feel more confident. Okay? Right? So I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that with you. Show case studies. Fantastic. Okay, super. Good. And what about group 3? We had okay, lovely. Thank you very much for putting that in the chat. Esther, Nai, and Nukila. Which one of you would like to speak?
I will start first, and then maybe my friend can add some. So our group discussed the challenge would be how to use an approach in this research. Could be through telling stories or from folklore stories, testimonies, or what like the story from the village or something like that. That we like what kind of approach that in this research, yeah, for reference. And then the second one, how to start writing, such as do we need to use like provocative statement or statistic that make one a mess, yeah, with these numbers, or cases of the loss of rituals of women, something like that. That could be a good point, yeah, to start this research. That's Anne and Esther, if you want to add, yeah, that we would like to highlight about that.
Great. So how to start writing and how to incorporate the stories.
Right, yeah.
Okay, excellent, good. Okay, anyone do Nai or Esther want to add anything there?
Just to add something on the referencing, the way you will be referencing the ideas that you get from the intercultural methodology that we may use, because they are not actually having the formality, or how do we intel in our own report by referencing it?
Yes.
That in the matter that you got this information from this methodology.
So telling other people's stories. Telling other people's stories, but in their own words. Absolutely, good. And also, and still making it sound like a report, not like a fiction. And okay, so this is an excellent point. This is again something that we are going to address in the this time next week, which will be the last part of our the last of our sessions. And Nukila also mentioned how to start. Now, this is a problem that all writers have. This is not a problem that just you first-timers have. It's a problem that it's an international problem. All writers have problem, and it's called the syndrome of the blank page, or these days, the syndrome of the blank screen. Although my recommendation is that you start with a page, with an actual page. The human brain, it works better when it's just from mind to pen or pencil, and the flow is much better, is much more fluid. Afterwards, you can write it up. I mean, I'm not going to, obviously, it has to be written up on some sort of computer, but it's a good place to start is a physical page. But I'm going to teach you some lovely techniques about that. I think you're going to like them. They were created by a professor she has a wonderful name. She's called Dr. Betty Flowers. So I think you're all going to like that. Okay, Fee, I saw you had your hand up again, but maybe not relevant. Would you like to make a comment?
Okay, Nai pointed.
Sorry, Esther. Yes, sorry. Let's have Esther first. Sorry, I apologize. Esther, you go ahead, please.
Yeah, it was, first of all, we acknowledge that having an English teacher is just bliss.
Is it? Okay, I'm so glad. Okay.
This is making the lecture very warm and friendly. Something else that you mentioned is that that lack of confidence or shying off. Honestly, I've sat through my desk like 4 hours and I didn't know what to do or what to start. And really? I had the information. So when I was researching somebody else who has written about female genital mutilation, I have the information of what I've researched and my lived experience, but to merge that into one information, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to write. I didn't know how to paraphrase. I didn't know how to quote the reference. So we are rich with the knowledge, but we don't know how to put it in paper.
Okay,
So
okay, but that's a good place to be.
and
That's a
then
good place to be. It would be much worse if you didn't have something to say. That will be
and then
a real problem. This is a problem that we can deal with. What you're describing, we can deal with totally.
then something else that has come up for me personally that I really don't know how to handle is that I now have an opportunity to leave for another project in the US, and it's really crazy because I'm trying to I'm doing this course. I'm trying to organize my family. I'm relocating. I don't know what the time difference and what I'm going to do, how to put this project that has come up in the US, FIMI, my family. So honestly, I'm in a place that I don't know how to handle. But I guess that is out of topic.
The issue there is time management. I don't know. Angela, is there a segment of the course that helps the participants manage their time? Does that happen?
No.
Not really.
We have some meetings about their projects, specifically about the projects, but no.
I mean, it does sound as though you may have bitten off a little bit more than you can chew, Esther. You know that expression?
Yes,
Yes.
I guess I'll talk to the
My advice as a teacher is like to take one step at a time. Put it, because when you see something big, it's like unmanageable. But if you can say, okay, today I'm just going to write down one story. Okay, today I'm going to write down one statistic, but you have to start somewhere. Where the syndrome of the blank page, often one of the ways to help with that syndrome is to start with like something very, very basic, like copying a content, maybe copying some information. On your topic, there is a lot of research. I mean, probably, a lot and worldwide. I mean, it's a huge topic. Yeah, exactly. So probably your problem is going to be selecting that research. So maybe you need to decide to be more specific, that I'm only going to take research that has appeared in the last 5 years. I mean, or the last 10 years, because maybe with the pandemic, there was probably less research. But I think you need to kind of define it. That would be my recommendation. Because if you say, I'm going to go research, and you find something 30 years old, maybe that's not relevant today.
Okay.
So something like that. Well, I'm very grateful that I'm able to help you in my small way, and let's hope that the IWWF can get more English teachers, because the rest of the time you're working with interpreting. That's very difficult. It's very difficult to focus with an interpreter. I agree. It's like you kind of lose the sort of human quality.
I know.
Yeah, it's not a lot of fun. Okay. Well, I think this is an excellent moment to take our break. So I make it 18 minutes past the hour, and we are going to come back at 1/2 the hour. Okay. So I will see you all back then, and then we're going to come ready to work, because we're going to be starting to do some, so far we've just chatted. Now we're going to be doing some real work. Okay?
Okay. See ya.
Okay.
So, let us start then with the practical part of today's course. I'm just going to wait 1 more minute and see who might join us. Doman, so you speak Tagalog? Would that be right? Yes? Because it has some
Yes.
influence from Spanish, doesn't it? It has some influence from Spanish. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, some words.
Yes, yeah. But you can't understand Spanish.
No.
No, it's
Sorry.
not so similar. It's not so similar, is it? And
Not really.
Naina, I'm saying your name correctly, right?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, well, I doubt it's perfect, but like if I'm near, I'm happy.
You're perfect.
Okay. My name is relatively straightforward to say, Joanna, but people do also call me Joe, if that's easier for everyone.
Joanna.
Normally they call me Joe when there's like a Joanne or another kind of, because it's, a relatively common name. Okay, so for those of us who are here, I think we should start because I always like to respect the time of the people who are here on time. So we're going to start with the second part of today's course, and we are going to be looking at how to get down to some more practical topics. I have taken note of all the challenges that you have identified, and I'm going to come back to those. I mean, the good thing about this course is that I can be flexible. This is tailor-made material that I've made specially for you. And so I'm going to be able to incorporate all the issues that you have highlighted to me, and we will address them in these 3 sessions. So what we're going to look at today is plain language and plain language techniques. But first of all, I want to ask you, have you ever heard of plain language? I mean, when you read this, what does it mean to you? Does it mean anything? Or just like, what is she talking about?
It means simple language to me.
That's right.
Yeah.
Very good. It
Simple,
means
yeah.
simple language, that any kind of that everyone should be able to understand it. That's quite right. And we're not talking, thank you, Esther, for that. And we are not talking literature here. But the idea is that, and the definition of the plain language is this, that if it's not just about the language, it's also about the structure and the design. And the idea is that it should be so clear that your readers they can find what they need, understand what they find, and use that information. So this is particularly important in government documents, and a case study is a tricky one because it's like not exactly a government document. It needs to be clear, but it also needs to be a little bit academic as well. And I think we can find a nice balance there, because it needs to have some references, but it needs to be clear so that people who can read it can understand it easily, and are not saying, well, what was the writer even trying to say? And so this is my aim, to give you the first baby steps in being able to communicate in this way. And I hope that by the end of today, you'll have seen, I mean, maybe you're already doing it, but maybe you're not, but maybe you're going to have some more tools to be able to do it. So one of the first things to think about is, who is our reader? In your case studies, who do you imagine that your readers are going to be? Do you have any ideas?
I think the government, the decision makers,
The
everyone,
decision makers.
could be like that.
The readers could be the government, they could be the decision makers. Fee, go ahead.
It could also be the indigenous women. We are.
Yes, your peers. Your peers.
Yeah. Yeah, my
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because
Adam.
some of what that you are doing is definitely consciousness or awareness raising. Am I correct?
Exactly.
Yes.
So, even other members of the community.
Yes. So
We
even more important, the government can probably understand more complex language, but for your peers and for other members of the community, it will need to be written in a language that everyone can understand. Fee, do you have another comment to add?
Yes. Also, the other researchers.
Yes.
Maybe the researchers who are doing literature review, yeah.
Exactly, your colleagues, absolutely. That is a very good point. Absolutely. So all these people we need, and this is when you were telling me how difficult it is to begin to write, I want you to think of one reader in your mind. I want you to visualize that reader. I want you to I mean, maybe the decision maker, the government, is a slightly scary reader to write for. So maybe it's easier to think, okay, who is the person that you like to hang out with on this course? So I don't know who it is, somebody else. You're thinking, I'm going to write for her. And like, think of her. I'm okay. And every time you get stuck and you think, oh, I don't really know how to carry on, you think, well, what would she ask? What would my friend ask? And you start writing this. Even very famous people, like, for example, the investor Warren Buffett, who you may or may not have heard of. He's like one of the world famous investors. He says that when he writes, he thinks of his sister. And that can be quite useful to think of someone like, but who's not an expert in your topic, who doesn't know as much as you do about your topic, but you are writing for them and you're explaining for them. And maybe in your first draft, you're just going to write as though you were having a conversation, which, just as though you were writing on WhatsApp. But then afterwards, I'm going to help you, and everyone at the IWWF is going to help you to shape your drafts, because it's very normal. All good writing will have lots and lots of layers of drafts of different and you're always going to be refining it and working on it. But thinking of someone as a reader. So maybe that's going to be a little assignment for Friday. On Friday, we're going to kick off and I'm going to ask you, who is your reader? And it has to be like a specific person, whether it's your sister, it's your friend, it's someone you've met here during this workshop. I want you to all have that mental vision. Okay? So that's a good assignment to start off with. Okay. So we have to think that the average reading age is about 13 years old. So that's like 6-7 years of schooling. That's the average reading age of the general public. Obviously, your reader might be a bit more sophisticated. If you're going to be submitting it to some sort of government grant or a proposal, it's going to be a bit more sophisticated than that. But that's kind of what you want to aim at. And one thing that people, this is definitely a modern phenomenon, is that nobody these days wants to read anything twice. And people these days they're just not interested. How many times have you received something and you just thought, oh, it's way too long. I'm not going to read it. I'll read it later. If it's something like very long and very complicated and it sounds very difficult, you just think, I'll come back to it later. And then you never get back to it later. Whereas if I say it looks like something that is kind of jumping off the screen at you, it just looks like something simple. I think I can read this in once. Nobody these days has much time, as Esther has described. We all have a lot of demands, and you have taken on a big commitment to do this case study. We understand that this is a serious amount of time and work. And so you have less time even than usual. And so, and everyone who's going to read something is the same. So nobody wants to read anything twice. So we have to write in a way that makes it agreeable for them to read once, and that they understand it when they read it the first time. So always write with that reader, and that's your assignment, to think of that person. And we're going to start off with that on Friday. So these are the 8 techniques that I'm going to work through with you. We're going to look at the first 4 today and the second 4 on Friday. And we're going to start off, we have writing short sentences, how to structure your sentences, using white space in your favor, and avoiding talking in the negative. Because every time we tell someone not to do something, it's like when you tell a naughty child not to do something, they always want to do it. And also, if we say something in the negative, it's kind of like a complicated, convoluted way of doing something. It's like, ooh, right, so I don't have to do this. Right, so what is it I do have to do? And then you start, the minute we go down that kind of path, we lose our reader. Our modern reader is someone who has a lot of demands on their attention. They're used to watching videos on TikTok. They're not used to reading complicated documents. And so we as writers have a duty to make things as straightforward, and I won't say fun, but like at least that they can get them. And, you know, most of the topics that you're dealing with, it's kind of hard to describe them as fun. They're very serious topics, but that people can read them once and understand your message, the importance of your message. So let's kick off with writing short sentences. This I did see as a little bit of a problem in some of the Excels that you write slightly long sentences, and this is something that I think you know, maybe you have been told or taught, people often are, that if they write like a long sentence, it makes them look, you know, more educated, more sophisticated. But this is not necessarily true. Like writing short sentences, people will understand you, and we don't get what is called cognitive overload. When I give you too much information, which I hope I won't do today, I hope I'll give you enough, not too much. And but writing, if I give it to you in shorter sentences, then it's easier to understand. It's a little bit like a meal. If I give you like a taste of everything, then it's sometimes nicer than like a great big meal. So how long should the average sentence be? Between 20 and 25 words. I would say maximum 35 words. And so, you know, whenever you feel that you're getting a little bit longer than that, try and find a way of cutting up your long sentences. Don't worry, you don't need to write anything down unless it helps you to take notes, because you're going to have all these resources on the IWWF campus by the end of today. So there are many ways of doing this. And for example, this one, I mean, this is not a particularly long sentence. It's not even particularly complicated, but you'll see that we can rework it. There's something else that's making this sentence complicated. So it says, candidates seeking the position should be aware that there are a limited number of time slots available and they will be assigned on a first come, first served basis. Now, this is something, if you heard this in a conversation, you heard first come, first served, you would probably understand it immediately. But when I see it like that, first come, first served together, they're both compound words, hyphenated words. It's kind of a bit too much. It's a bit confusing. I sort of think like, what are they? What are they? First come, first served. And whereas really it's not, you know, it's not really that complicated. But I sort of, what's the message there? What do you understand that's happening to these people?
Limited number of time slots available.
That's right. That's right. So what do you need to do? If you see that there's a limited number of time slots available, what do you think, oh, I better be there?
On time. Come
Exactly,
early.
on time, or maybe even early, right?
Right.
And maybe that would have been a clearer message. But you could also say it like this. Please note that candidates who arrive first will get the few available time slots. Which of these is easier to understand?
The second one.
The second one, isn't it? And do you still find it polite?
Yes.
Please note.
Please note is fine, isn't it? I mean, in
Yes.
English, we use please a lot more than we do in other languages. I mean, you will notice in emails, that people will often start an email. There might even be more than one please. If we want someone to do something, we can say, please note. And also it's like an instruction, but it's a polite instruction, isn't it? If we were going to make it a little more user-friendly, we might pop in that get there early. I might do that if I was kind of, you know, so get there early, making it like a cause effect. This is the scenario, so this is what you need to do. I might introduce an action there, but I'm kind of like, you know, someone who's action driven, so maybe that will be the case. But you can see in the first version, there's no action, is there? There's no action at all. There's no clear instruction. And it sounds a little bit like something that's happening to someone else, doesn't it?
Yeah.
This kind of language, I mean, there will be at some points in your case studies where this kind of language is useful. But, you know, when you do need to make it quite neutral, but it's not always the case. And so and I wanted to ask you something. Does anyone notice I'm taking you kind of back to high school a little bit here? Which voice is this written in? Does anyone notice which voice the first version or which voice the second version is in?
Passive.
It's the
Passive.
The passive, isn't it? Is like they will be assigned. And we're going to look at whereas the second one is written in the opposite of the passive is the active. Can somebody write that for me in the chat while I continue? Like passive versus active. And anytime passive voice is very useful. For example, I would say, you could say in your case study, 18 women were spoken to. And then that's like a very neutral, very polite form. But if you want something a bit more action, or if you want someone to do something, like you're making a recommendation, maybe you would use the active voice, although in a recommendation, we also use the conditional. So I am going to take you a little bit back to high school here. I'm just warning you. I hope none of you are grammar phobic, because we will be doing a bit of grammar. Good. So here we had a long sentence from this was the it's Fatima, is it Fatima? Is it, am I going to say it in a horrible way? Mboro, can you help me out here?
Mbororo.
Mbororo. Mbororo. I'm kind of like, I'm sort of close, but not quite. I can hear that. But Mbororo, this was from one of the examples. I'm going to ask for permission from the IWWF to be able to share the complete documents, the complete case studies with you. I don't want to do it without consulting with my superiors at the IWWF. So I hope to be able to show you a full case study on either this Friday or next Tuesday. But this was like a long sentence that I felt needed a bit of reworking. And especially as it's bringing in like a lot of material. So one way of reworking this kind of long sentence, this one is also, and we're going to look at punctuation. And it had nice use of punctuation. So the major factors that hamper the education of the Mbororo girl child discovered during the course of this research are : and then these different elements. So, so what we could do here is to break these down, and I'm going to give you this example a little bit later. We could break these down into bullet points, maybe have these as bullets, and that will be, or maybe as a separate sentence. Okay. So is somebody saying something in the chat? There we go. Passive versus active. Thank you so much. Okay, the other way of making your sentences more direct and shorter is to avoid this kind of start. It is possible for clients to return the product they bought. We can say it like this: the client may return the product. So anytime that we start our sentence with the subject, then it's like it's going to make our sentence much more direct. So what we want is like subject, verb, object. And so what we're asking and the question we can ask ourselves in this is, who is doing what? And sometimes it's to whom. So that I pop the question into the chat, and it's like, who is doing what to whom? And this is like, anytime you're kind of making, like, you suddenly find that you're getting overwhelmed, like there's too much information. And if you ask yourself this very straightforward, so like, what is going on here? Okay, I just need to write down that. What is going on here? Who is doing what to whom? And then maybe like when or why, or other aspects that may come later. So here so what you want to avoid is to use these introductory clauses like it is possible, it is necessary, it is imperative. All these are what we call throat clearers. You know how some people, when they start speaking, it's not very attractive. They go, and then they start speaking, and you're sort of thinking, ugh, gross. And thank goodness they're on Zoom. But this is the same sort of thing. If I say it is possible to do something, I'm like, well, what are they really talking about? Whereas if I say somebody may do something, I'm like, okay, I get it in one. It's much easier to understand. So it is possible, it is necessary, it is imperative. We can get rid of all of these and we can use a verb. So it is possible, we can use may, that's still a possibility. It is necessary, we can use needs. It is imperative, we can use must. Now, my recommendation is that you take a screenshot of this. Can you take, somebody maybe stick it in the chat if you can? Because in a minute, I'm going to pop you back in the breakout rooms and I'm going to make you do a little exercise where you're going to need this information. So you've used here verbs. So what is a verb? You tell me, what does a verb do? If I say, okay, I told you my hobby was to make chutney. Okay. Somebody, okay, Fifian, what is your hobby?
Dancing.
Dancing. Excellent. Okay, somebody else. Maybe who hasn't spoken yet. Somebody else have another hobby? Everyone pop their hobbies in the chat. Please put your hobbies in the chat. I'm not seeing anything yet. Everyone's thinking, maybe you had a hobby. Okay, game drives, playing the flute. Lovely. Okay, what are all of these things? These are all actions, aren't they? They're all actions. And anything we do, adventuring, excellent, a real action there. And anything we do, anytime we bring a verb into our writing, we're introducing action, we're introducing movement, and that is what enables our writing to move on. And this again is something when you describe to me that you get stuck with your writing, that you don't know where to start, and maybe you write something and then you're like, oh, I just don't know how to go on. Then, but if you have an action, if you have a verb, that's going to help you to move on. So absolutely lovely. Several of you dancing. And okay, so I totally forgot something. Have you all, I should have actually told you to do this can you go into the campus? And I'm going to jump out a bit. You go into the campus and you should be able to download now, because we made it so that you can download it now, the handout for today. I can running. Fatima, is that running? I hope it's not ruining. That doesn't sound good at all. Just a minute. That's a relief. Yes, yes, yes. So wonderful, all lovely actions. Excellent. Okay, let me know when somebody has got hold of the handout, which is on the campus. Otherwise, I don't know that I'm not seeing that I can put it in the, maybe I can, I think I can probably put it in here as well. It's in use. Okay, maybe I need to close it. Okay, let me try again. Sorry, I'm being a bit. There we go. Okay. Has everyone managed to get hold of the handout? Yes? Can I get a thumbs up for that? I've popped it into the chat in case you can't find it on the campus. Yep, Daisy's got it. Super. Okay. Well, I think I'm going to pop you into the breakout rooms then. And so you're going to do this first exercise. What is it we have to do here? We have to get rid of we have to change the introductory clause. Let's do the first one together before we go into the breakout room. So in granting a price increase, it is imperative to take all the factors into account. So that first part of the sentence is like a separate clause. We don't really need to touch that. So we can leave in granting a price increase, but how could we change? It is imperative to take all the factors into account. What do we have for imperative? We had the screenshot, which for some reason, here we are. The screenshot, we said we changed, it is imperative to
Needed. Maybe.
Imperative can be need or, and yeah, okay, need will work. Here you could also maybe use another one, because I think it is necessary was for need, wasn't it? It is imperative maybe for changes to in the screenshot. Let's go back and I'll show it to you.
It's a must.
Must. So how are we going to do this? So in granting a price increase, we want to have a must in there. So we're going to need to have a person, aren't we?
In granting a price increase, it is a must to take all the factors into account.
Yeah, it is a must. You might say it like that. Or if you're talking directly to someone, remember you're talking to your sister or you're talking to your colleague or to your friend, how would I address? Just you. You would work. You would work there because we have, it is a must. That again is like that level of it's like an impersonal passive. We're leaving behind the action again, and we want to introduce actions into our writing. So so you must take all the factors into account, or if you don't feel comfortable putting in a you could also say maybe our please. Do you remember when we had our example, just like, please take all the factors into account? That would also work as well. Okay. So okay. I'm going to pop you into the breakout rooms, and I'll do the same ones as, there's not so many of you. So wait a minute. Let's do recreate, and I'm going to do 2. So that it's okay. Yeah. So there's like, well, now there's about 4 or 5. No, because some of you are not. Okay, Minerva is not going to join. Okay. So there's like 4 of you in each room, which I think is fine. Okay. So one of you will be able to share a screen. So one of you can show the handout and you can work directly on the handout. It's a Word doc, so you can write directly on it. Okay. And I'm going to give you a little over 5 minutes. I'll give you like 7 minutes. Okay. You just have to do 2, 3, and 4. Please do not continue to exercise 2. Sometimes everyone tries to be like teacher's pet and they kind of go ahead. So don't. Only exercise 1. Okay. Because we're not there yet. Thank you.
Hello. Hi, Nana.
Hi.
So we are going to discuss, yeah? Where is the, I forgot, I will check. Where is it? Where is the?
Please, where are the questions?
Let me screenshot and send.
Yeah, please.
All right.
You. Where is it? Okay, got it. Exercise 1. Replace the introductory clause. in granting a price increase, it is imperative to take all the factors into account. So we replace imperative with must, yeah? It is a must. It is a must. How do I say? To take all factors into account if you want to grant. No. Granting a price increase. No. It is imperative. Oh, it is a must. In granting a price increase to take all the factors into account. What do you say? So we're going to the next. It is a must in granting a price increase to take all the factors into account. What do you think?
You could also start with, please, it is a must to put into consideration all factors. My questions just disappeared, but you said we can do it either way.
Do we need to use this all the words or not? We need to use
No,
all
we
the
don't
words,
need
right?
to. We don't need to.
Okay. So what your suggestion? It's a must.
Okay. Can you please just share the questions on the chat? It just disappeared on my gadget.
Okay.
Please.
Okay. I'll copy and then I type in the chat. Okay. Oh, where is it? That's the chat. Okay. You got it?
Yes, thank you.
So we change into is a must. Is a must. I'll type it. Is a must. Is a must.
Can I say the first way we can put it?
Yeah. What is the past?
Okay.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
passive.
okay.
And active voice.
In granting a price increase, it is a must to take all the factors into account. That is
too long, yeah? It's too long. So we need to change how to make it more simple, understandable and active. It's a must.
Can we say it is a must to put all factors into consideration when granting a price increase, or it's still too long?
To take all factors. Oh, that's good. In granting a price increase, yeah.
Price increase, yes.
Let me write it down. Okay. Price increase. Anyone? I think it's very good. Okay. Like this? It is a must to take all factors in granting price increase. It's too long or not, yeah? It is a must. I think it's enough, yeah? Anyone? Otherwise, I'll because we have limited time, I'll go to the second question. I will go to second question is second question. Anyone?
This is not necessary for employees, it's not the document.
It is
Copy paste the question, please.
Already. Okay. Okay, to put all factor, okay. The next one is this one. It's not necessary. What is the replace there? It's not necessary for the employee to sign document. It's not. It's the employee. Yeah. What is Naina?
The employee does not need to sign the document.
Okay. That's good.
It's like people are generally kind of like, oh, I can't believe you're teaching me this. Anyway, great. Okay, so we have two groups here. We have Daisy, Fatima, me, Naina, and Nukila. And we have Doman, Esther, and Nai. So let's start with the small group. Let's just do the number 2. Would you tell us what you got for number 2?
Group 2.
Group 2.
Group what? Group 2 or group 1?
Group 2. Group 2 was the small group. Doman, Esther, and Nai. Would you be able to tell us what you got for number 2? Doman, fantastic.
Yes.
Good, excellent. That's a really nice one. The employees do not need to sign the document. Perfect. So you started with the subject. The employees do not need to sign the document. So it's very, very clear. There's no throat clearing there. Excellent. And the other ones look very good too. Okay, but let's see what the other group has got. Thank you. Okay, jump out, please. And who's going to share from group 1? Daisy, Fatima, Mai, Naina, and Nukila. Who's sharing this time?
We're not put into the in writing.
You didn't
yeah,
put it in
but
writing.
we can say
Okay.
one by one.
Okay.
Okay.
Nukila, tell us what you got for number 3.
Number 3. Number 1, yeah? One.
No. Number 3.
Which one?
Exercise
Number...
1.3.
Okay. If my friend can help me. Number 3, because I'm the yeah.
Mm-hmm. Naina, can you
Naina,
help?
Please.
Yeah. Give me some time.
Okay.
We are just discussing on 2 first and second, but third we don't have time to discuss.
You didn't get this far. Okay, then let's go back
few
to
minutes.
No, don't worry. Let's go back to the other group and let's see what they did. Doman, do you mind sharing again? I'm sorry, I shouldn't have made you jump out so quickly. Okay, then I'm just going to show you. Oh, there we go. Great. So we delivered the product 9 weeks ago. That's fine. That's okay. And then excellent. And then the last one was a bit more challenging, wasn't it? Because we have that. It is required by the law. And so you're sort of thinking, so the law, the board members should approve the minutes. Now, this is an interesting point, because if I tell you you should do something, like when I saw those lovely lists of activities in the chat, like I know I should do more running, more dancing, more swimming, all those things, I should do them. That's like a recommendation. But something that is an obligation, I would need a stronger verb. Do you remember in the list? Because should is just a recommendation. There's no obligation there. With an obligation, what do I need? What verb do I need? Shall you can use sometimes, but there's
must.
a lot of must is crystal clear. Shall, there is so many problems with shall that many people have stopped using it, because it's a beautiful word, but it's like, does it mean will? Does it mean must? Nobody knows anymore. So it's like a big confusion. So with must, it's crystal clear. We know that we have an obligation to improve those minutes. Excellent. Good. Thank you so much. Doman, do you mind jumping out? And we're going to carry on for the last final section today. So good. Now I'm going to show you, I always show you the answers. And then I show you I'm always going to show you the before and after, so that you can see the changes we made on one screen. Sometimes it gets a bit of a squash, but I think that this is the most didactic way of doing this. So here you can see that not only have we made these sentences shorter, but we've also made them clear. It's very clear. who the actors are and who the what actions they have to take. And this is something that in your case studies is going to be key. We want to know who is doing what. And so this is like the question that you can always ask yourself. I'm going to pop this into the PowerPoint so that you get that question. Who is doing what? Right. Then the next point, the other way to make your sentences a little bit shorter is to get rid of all these words that we call compound constructions. In order to, with regard to, in the event that, all these ones, they make everything a little bit longer. And we can normally find a shorter replacement. For example, in order to, most of the time we can replace it with to. I do think that if you start a sentence with, I mean, you're not going to start a sentence with to, whereas you could start a sentence with in order to. People always tell me, well, in order to is more formal. It is more formal. You're quite right. But you don't need to have like 10 in order to's in your paragraph. That's kind of like, it's overwhelming and you're losing a lot of the meaning. With regard to, you can just say regarding. In the event that, you can just say if. Prior to, you can, most of the time you can say before. With respect to, regarding, about to, for, after. I saw several of you work in human rights, but you're not lawyers, are you? The ones who work in human rights?
No.
I do have, no, you're not lawyers, but sometimes maybe you're presenting to lawyers.
Yes.
A lot of the time. Okay. And often lawyers, I mean, as someone who's worked with lawyers for 20 years, and I still have a lot of students who are lawyers, you know, lawyers will always feel more comfortable with this column. And so maybe if you are presenting your work, you know you're going to be presenting it to lawyers, like put in a couple of these because they're going to like it. But like for any other audience, you're just going to stick with this column. Okay. So again, who was the person who was good at taking those screenshots for me? Because I might like you to take a screenshot for this. Let's take a screenshot and pop it into the chat.
Okay, done.
Lovely.
Sure, I'll do.
Thank you for being so helpful. It's great to have a good teamwork here. And because what we're going to look at now is how we can replace these compound constructions. So, I mean, ostensibly, there's nothing wrong with these sentences. We can understand these sentences fine, but we can, you know, we're trying to get to something even clearer. So if we say they agreed with regard to the date of the launch, then we can say, how can we make that a little bit shorter?
They agreed on the date of the launch.
On the date of the launch. It means exactly the same. And you've got rid of 3 words, haven't you? So they agreed on the date of the launch. So everyone get that one down. And in order to be the next one, we'll just do these in here in the main room, because we still have quite a lot to cover. In order to be fair, we should not apply the increase retroactively.
To be fair,
we could just say to be fair, couldn't we? Yeah, and that would be fine, wouldn't it? Okay. And this one, I'm afraid, is for an Argentinian example. This is the kind of, I don't know if the rest of you suffer from these things. In the event of a devaluation, the banks will react accordingly. How could we say that? Do you want me to, you can look in the chat for the screenshot. What do we have to replace in the event of?
Or because of a devaluation,
You
the
could
bank
just say because of, or if
the bank will
there
react.
is, if
On
there is, yeah, yeah,
Devaluation.
on the
something
valuation.
on a
On the valuation of
devaluation. Yeah,
the
you could, yes, that
banking.
would work too. That would be good. And number 4, the CEO spoke with reference to the recession.
The CEO spoke regarding the recession.
Regarding the recession. Excellent. So all those we can make shorter. Excellent. Very good work. Yeah, great. So here we are, and you could just say about, if there is, but I like the on. I think that's also a nice way of doing it. And here they are side by side. So you can see how they work. Good. So you can see from here our sentences a little bit shorter. It's about a couple of words, but it makes a difference in the long run. And anytime we make our sentences shorter, we're making them clearer. We're making them easier for our audience, our intended audience, to understand. So with this, we can move on to the second point in plain language, which is about structuring your sentences, because obviously, as you've all told me, you have a lot of information. You have a lot. I mean, you're studying your material. You have a lot of material that you're bringing in, and so it's important that we present it and that we structure it in a clear way. So one of the things that we need to avoid, I don't know if you've ever seen one of those Russian dolls. Sometimes they're called mamushkas. Has anyone ever, do you know what I'm talking about? The ones inside each other. And sometimes what happens is that sentences kind of get like all inside each other. Or you get like a paragraph with these sentences all inside each other, and it gets very, very complicated, and we end up kind of scratching our heads when we're sort of thinking like, well, how are we even gonna be able to understand what's going on? So remember, we always want to keep our subject, verb, object up at the top of our sentence. So we have a complex sentence like this: a full refund in the case of returning an item that was neither worn nor damaged may be given to the customer as long as the product is returned within 30 days of purchase. Okay, I mean, it's not like super complicated. You can probably understand it fine, but it might kind of make you read it more than once, mightn't it? And remember, our reader just doesn't want to do that. They just don't want to read anything more than once. So the rewrite could be: the customer may request a full refund within 30 days of purchase as long as the product was neither worn nor damaged. So a little bit more information there, okay? And we've got the before and after. So which one do you prefer?
The second
Do you
one.
prefer the second? Okay.
Yeah,
And that is
second
probably
one.
because most of us identify, unless you work in retail, most of us identify with being the customer, don't we? So it's like when we read about the customer, we're thinking like, that's me. And this is the thing. So it's like the reader is thinking, okay, that's me. This, I know that I have to take it back within 30 days. So this is the main thing. And here we have actually used the passive voice, but it's kind of applicable. And it's made it a little bit clearer and a little bit shorter. But well, one or the we just turned it into an adjective, and the emphasis is on the customer. And we've still got like a little kind of mamushka. We've still got a little but the only one, and it's kind of at the end, as long as it wasn't as neither worn nor damaged. We've got that just one, not two. And that makes it much shorter. So here we have another example. So here we have, let's do the first one together. A board review is conducted annually. This is exercise 3 on page 2 of our handout. A board review is conducted annually, as explained elsewhere in the statement, which includes an assessment of future requirements in relation to board composition based on the above criteria and overall board performance. Am I giving you a headache already?
No.
It's a bit much, isn't it? Okay, so can we split that one up? The easiest way could just be to put a full stop here, couldn't it? And just put a full stop and just say, you can't start with the which then, because the which is for a relative clause, but we could start with this. We could just say, this includes, and we know, or we could refer back to the review. We could say, this review includes da 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 da, da and leave it like that. Then we're going to have two sentences, aren't we? And it's going to make it a little bit easier to understand. What about the second one? In relation to this, I think the second one is less of a problem. The scientific community is of the opinion that the subspecies of the butterfly is likely to become extinct in the wild in this area unless the circumstances and factors threatening its survival cease to operate. If I say someone is of the opinion, what am I saying?
Someone is thinking or thinks.
Exactly. So let's introduce that lovely verb. So we could say thinks or believes or, one of those words. We can find there's always going to be synonyms. English has a ridiculous number of synonyms. And of course, you can use the internet to help you. I'm all for using the internet to help you with that kind of thing. And so we could start with, we could forget in relation to this unless it's like carried on from something else. So the scientific committee thinks or believes that the species of butterfly is likely to become extinct in the wild in this area. And actually, I mean, we could just carry on like that. I mean, you could have the whole sentence, and that would already be a major improvement. But you might be able to tweak something else. Let's see what else we can do. I'm just going to show you. And here I've given you some answers. As this statement explains, an annual board review considers the above criteria and overall board performance to assess the future makeup of the board. And this one believes is likely to become unless the threats to it cease. So we've kind of cut a bit of it. So here we've cut about one line. We've got rid of all that above criteria. We've just got performance. We consider above criteria here. And here we've got rid of the factors. We just talk about the threats and made it clearer. So this will make it a lot shorter. Good. The next one I am going to get you guys to do by yourselves. I'm not, you're not on vacation here. Okay. So the next aspect that I want to look at, we talked about making our sentences shorter, structuring our sentences a little bit tighter, getting rid of some of the points, and using white space. How can we make white space work for us? This is particularly useful on the screen, because no one wants to read something like this. This is the kind of email that you get and you're just kind of like, oh no. Does anyone know this acronym? I'm going to pop it into the chat, see if maybe some of the younger ones will know this one. TLDR, do you know that one?
No.
Nobody knows it?
No.
Too long, didn't read. And this is a lot what people feel about. And this is not what we want our case studies to feel about, to look like. We don't want people to get your case study and think like, oh no, I already getting a headache just looking at it. We want to think, oh, okay, I can handle this. Maybe not all in one go, but I'm sure that I'm going to be able to read this. And so we, you know, this is not even something very complex, but it's just like unappealing. And writing, particularly on the screen, something has to kind of look appealing. So we need to kind of break it down. So how can we break down material? How do we normally break down material? Any ideas? Break down writing?
Bullets.
Bullets, absolutely. Bullets are a classic. Absolutely. And so this is one of the things that we can do. So we can, keeping our reader in mind and remembering that those large blocks of type are kind of just like distracting and also off-putting. There, so you divide it into paragraphs. We leave nice double spaces between paragraphs. We give titles, we give subtitles. Anytime we give a title, it's kind of like a signpost. Imagine that we're traveling, we're going on a trip somewhere. We need a signpost. We need to know where we're going to get to. Well, reading is the same. The reader needs to be given signposts. The reader needs to think, okay, I've read the executive summary. Now comes the discussion part. Oh, okay. I remember from the content that after the discussion, I'm going to get the findings. And then even those are going to have like subheadings inside them. And that, remember, a lot of the time, reading is like most other activities in life. It has to do with trust. The reader is trusting you. And so they're kind of depositing their trust in you that you're going to lead them to a destination. And giving these signposts is going to help them get there. So how can we tabulate? So use lists and bullet points to systematically, not erratically. Don't just write something and then think, oh my goodness, I remember the teacher told us we had to use bullets, and you just go in and put them in randomly or put in the paragraphs randomly. Those are what I call panic attack paragraphs. Those are not helpful. They need to break up the text in a meaningful way. Most people these days, as we said, don't want to read anything twice. And most people these days are not reading they're reading on their phone often. They're not reading on a nice big screen. They're not printing something out where it's much easier to read. And so they need to be able to scan the information. They need to be able to just like extract the essential bit of the information. And so anytime we use bullets, that will help. And tabulation, which is what bullets is that's like the sophisticated way of calling bullets. It presents information graphically. It's easy on the eye, it's agreeable, and it can also help to avoid any confusion, any ambiguity. So here's a relatively simple sentence. This one doesn't really need tabulating. Employees working from home may request a laptop, ergonomic chair, and a reimbursement of half the cost of their internet service. But if we tabulate it, I'm sorry. Sorry, I really thought I had that one. I will tabulate it for you. You can tabulate it with you can have a laptop, an ergonomic chair, and the reimbursement. You can have like the bullets 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to pop that in for you. That slide it got missed. I apologize about that. So you can use bullet points when tabulating. But numbering also helps, just as I've done numbering in the exercises like 3.1, 3.2, so you know exactly which exercise, which part of the course we're on. That also helps. This one is more complicated and generally, I mean, unless somebody that you're working with is using that one, I wouldn't recommend using either of those last two. Now, you must have tabulation. It has to make sense grammatically. all of these have to make sense. If you are any of these, speak to us. Information is as follows: 1, 2, 3. So here, the next one, I had an example from one of the older case studies. It's not quite making sense. It says this affected areas include this: there is air pollution, water pollution, soil pollution, and loss of traditional ways. So it definitely needs a bit of fixing. And if we fix it, we can put in these affected areas include, so that the subject and the pronoun is agreeing. And then we don't need to repeat there is. We just have air pollution, water pollution, soil pollution, and this is fine because they're all things. They're all the same part of speech. They're all nouns. So now I've given you a couple to do by yourselves. I think so you're going to have to no. These are not the ones. This is the exercise 4. You have exercise 4. It's personal loans. Okay, so you need to go to your handout. I'm going to jump out here. And you're going to see in your in the handout, you have 2 mistakes in each. So I want you to watch out for not just the parts of speech, but there also might be some other problem. Maybe something's misspelled. Maybe there's a capital letter, maybe something like that. So I want you to look up. I actually think that this is a reasonable exercise to do just individually. Okay, I think it's probably better than in a group. So I'm not going to pop you in the groups. I will put you in the groups for the next one. And you have that as exercise 4. Okay. Okay. Let me know when you're ready. I'll give you 1 more minute. Right. So you should have come up with something like this. In the first one, the errors were that it was actually really just the typo, like the capital letter. And then the second one, you had to get rid of the do. So it all has to lead on. So you should not add, use, avoid. It all has to, you can't say you should do not. That's the sort of thing that can easily happen. I mean, I am going to recommend in in our third session, some automatic grammar tools that you can use that will help you correct this kind of mistake. Because these days you can access, I mean, even if you work on Word, is actually quite helpful. But there's something else called Grammarly that maybe some of you are already familiar with, that will correct your grammar and give quite helpful suggestions. And it's you can use a certain amount of it for free, obviously not the whole thing, and that can be quite useful. So here you have the before and after, and you can see that, I mean, the point is that it's important to make these correctly, because otherwise it doesn't look very professional. And so this is why it's important to focus on this level of detail. Now, I was going to ask you to do this. I'm slightly concerned that we're going to run out of time today, but I think we have time. I think we can do this. So I'm going to pop you into the groups. I'm giving you quite a big, it's a bit of a TLDR, isn't it? It's quite a big, it's a bit of a long paragraph, but I want you to maybe to work in your, I'm going to put you in two groups, and I would advise you to share screens, and that actually I would advise everyone to work on it. And you're going to make it a little bit shorter, and maybe you're going to add a little bit more space to it, and maybe if you can add in some bullet points, some tabulation, all the better, right? It's a piece of kind of public information about you'll recognize the type of thing when the things that we had to do a few years back. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm going to put you into breakout rooms. Okay, I think I'm going to put right. Okay, that's pretty even. And I'm going to pop you into two breakout rooms, and you're going to try and rewrite this passage. I'm going to give you just under 10 minutes to do this, so that we have time to review it together when you come back. Okay, I'll come and visit you.
There we go. Who wants to start? I'll type.
Yeah, we need to write in a bullet or make it short paragraph.
Yeah. Shall we? Okay.
We need to write in bullet or short paragraph.
Or bullets, maybe.
Bullet may be perfect. Okay, give me some time. I'll do.
I can encode for you.
How can I share this point?
Like all 13-year-old. Let's try this. Just to start. All 13-year-old must wear none.
How are we doing? Are you doing okay?
Yeah. We're starting.
All right. Okay, so you're going to need a little bit more time. Okay.
Mask.
I'll
Yes.
give you 5 more minutes. Don't worry. Okay, great.
Thank you.
Indoors. Indoor public spaces. Indoors. Such as, do we do that? Such as, and then we put the bullets.
Yeah.
Because it looks like 2 groups, is it? There are 13. Let's see. Shops. Shall we put this in bullets?
Do
we
how
need
can I
to put this
share
in
the bullet
bullets?
with you? So if I can share the bullet with you, so you can share the screen.
Oh, are you seeing are you seeing? Are you
Yeah,
sharing? So you have. So I'll get out. You have a screen to share?
I don't know how to share the screen exactly.
I'll get out of this. And then you go
I want to
down.
share my points with you.
Yeah. So you go, you know, you go to share screen. I already got out. So if you have something to share, go. You go to share screen.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. What's the problem?
Did you see? Did you see share screen below? Oh. Yeah. Did you see the share screen, Naina?
Yeah. Give me some time. I'm trying.
Okay. We'll wait for you. Fatima, do you have any thoughts?
About sharing the screen or what?
About making it shorter while waiting for Naina.
All right, let me read it again. I can see if I can type because my voice actually is not good.
Have you found the way to share screen, Naina? We can work
Yeah,
together.
yeah, okay. Yeah, entire screen.
You have to open what you type. Yeah?
Yeah. Do you see?
Yes, we see it.
Did you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see these points?
Okay, yes, we do. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. First one is wear non-medical face masks indoors. Can you hear me?
Okay, yes. I hear you.
Yeah. And second point is advice for ages 13 and above. Just I try to write in simple and short points,
Yeah.
but I'm not sure it's right or wrong.
Okay. Why you disappeared again? Yeah. So this is an advisory about wearing face masks, is it?
Yeah, we're non. Sorry, I didn't understand.
It's an advisory on wearing face masks.
Over advised to wear. Shall I add? Is advised to here?
No, it's okay. I'm just trying to understand what it's saying.
I'm just trying to make it simple and short, but maybe importance.
Yeah.
Message.
It's like I look at it as an announcement that what advice for maybe here advised for ages 13 and above, we can say all 13 years and above.
Advice for
Must.
all.
Yeah. Shall we must or should?
Sorry. Advice for all above 13.
All, no, we can take off the all or the advised. Advised for.
Advice for.
Yeah. Go straight to all ages 13 years and above. All ages 13 years and above. You can remove advised for.
Yeah.
Yeah. All ages. Oh, all
13
age
years?
13 and above. Yeah.
13 years or 13 and above.
13 and above. It's okay. Yeah. Save it and you can share it later. You share it on screen also. Yeah. So take the okay. Please save it, Naina, and you share it with the big group. Yeah. Okay.
But is this fine to share?
Yeah, it's okay.
Do you have
It's
anything
okay.
to add?
We don't have much time, so that's okay.
Exactly,
It's a
yeah.
good effort.
Yeah, we have a limited time.
Mm.
Okay. Great. So did you manage to finish? If you didn't, I mean, it really doesn't matter. It's no big issue. No, not quite. Okay. We had group 1, Daisy, Ether, Nai, and Nukila. Would you like to show me what you've done? To show everyone what you've done?
I'll try, yeah. Anyone?
Go ahead. Okay, go ahead.
Who's going from my group? Or I will read it. Okay, I'll try, yeah. I will try.
Do you have it so that you can show it to us or not?
No, just reading it. Can I?
No, that's going to be too hard because we need to be able to visualize it.
Oh,
Okay,
I'll share it on the chat. So I'll share on the chat.
Can you share it in the
Okay,
chat,
wait. Yeah,
even if
wait.
you can't share screen?
Okay. I'll share on the chat. Maybe the other group can start first.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay, so
try.
Donan, Fatima and Naina, would you like can you share? Can one of you share, Doman or Naina?
Yeah, I want to share the screen.
Please. Thank you.
Can you see the points?
Yes. Oh, lovely. Very nice. So
Yeah.
you've got like the instructions. Okay, so it wasn't quite finished, but you're kind of like being able to differentiate that these are the action items, as it were, and being able to bring them up. Excellent. Lovely. Very nice indeed. Okay, good. Excellent. All right. Jump out, Naina, because I'm just going to show you what I have got. And with that, we're going to wrap up today. We haven't got, whoa, now I've got something weird going on. Okay.
Can I stop to share my screen?
Yeah, if you stop sharing yours, I'm not sure what will happen. Okay, there we go. You stop sharing.
Yeah, sure.
There we go. Great. And
Thank you.
I will show you. Thank you. And I will show you the version I got. So what I did here was like first of all, the instruction. From now on, everyone aged such and such an age must, and then the lists of all the places, all those different sort of 3 different areas, like public areas and then entertainment areas, and then something to do with something medical. And then the information like wearing a mark, you know, you should be doing this, and sort of like the additional information, which I've separated off. And so you see what we've done with this white space. Anytime we introduce white space, it makes it much easier for people to read. It's like the information jumps off the screen or the page at our reader. Okay, I want to finish on time. We have not quite had time to finish this final point that I was going to finish with you, but we will do that on Friday. And the Zoom link for Friday will be on the campus. I'm going to get all that information and the corrected PowerPoints as well as the recording. I'm not quite sure how that works, but that will all be up there. And I'd like to congratulate you all for having worked so hard and participating so in such a lively manner. It's been a real pleasure to work with you today. And I think we've had fun as well as learning. And you know, that's actually also quite an important thing, to enjoy what you're doing. You've all taken on very difficult topics, so I'm glad that you're able to share them. And I'm looking forward again to seeing you on Friday at the same time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. See you
Thank
on
you.
Friday.
Thank you, boss.
Thank you. See you.
Thank you, John.
Bye.
It was a pleasure.